Oh, sorry about that. Hey, what is going on today, PGL fans? It is SupahGassy here, and today we have our Week 6 recap for you guys. I know I haven't done these in a while, but I blame myself, no one else, and I have to turn off my fan. But yeah, what happened in the recent weeks? You, uh, I'll try to go over that as best as I can, but you'll see that in the standings how things have progressed and what has gone on, and something else that I need to mention is that Fugio, coach of the Pennsylvania Breloons, has left the league for reasons that I would not like to mention because he was, yeah, just not a good addition in a few people's eyes. And our other analyst that is usually here with me was True, who is now the Boston Silk Scarfs in place of the Pennsylvania Breloons leaving. And yeah, True has not been doing too hot, but it's great to have True back for a season, or at least half the season, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do. But without further ado, let's go into the matches for this week, and I will explain everything that happened to you, and see where those happenings put everyone on standings MVP list, and we will then finish off with the next week predictions. So for our first game of the week, we have the Seattle Smeargles versus the New York Klinks. The Seattle Smeargles bringing Reuniclus, Tyranitar, Excadrill, Weezing, Thunderous Eye, and Mega Lopunny, while the New York Klinks brought Suicune, Talonflame, Landorus, T, Skarmory, Lucario, and Rotom Heat. Now, what happened in this match is, I believe, the Klinks just did not have enough defensive pressure to answer the things such as Reuniclus and Excadrill and Thunderous Eye. They went with a more bulky offensive team, and what happened is that Reuniclus basically came in, got a few Calm Minds up, destroyed Suicune, destroyed Talonflame, and then from there on out, it was basically hoping on that Lucario would get a sweep somehow. But it was looking very dim, but also the Lucario counters were somewhat dwindled down, such as Weezing. Tyranitar, I believe, was dwindled down a little bit, Reuniclus was dwindled down. So we don't know what would have happened per se, but the match had DC'd when it was 6-4 in the Seattle Smeargles' favor. Sketchy, I think this is his second win now, his first win being against, I believe, Ian. What was it? Did he win week 5? No, he won week 5 against True in the Boston Silk Scarfs, which was a pretty interesting match because Sketchy had picked up Lilligant, who the Boston Silk Scarfs didn't really have too much of an answer for at a certain point in the game. But with that, the Seattle Smeargles are on a 2-game winning streak coming out of 0-4, and very good for them. They've proved that although they are in, I believe, the harder conference, they still have a lot to prove. And yeah, being in the harder conference, not that great. Beating the #1 guy, though, in my opinion, very, very good showsmanship. And, you know, I hope Sketchy keeps performing this way. And he's learning how to use his team very well now. And I hope to see him do even better. His playoff chances are pretty dim, but not impossible if he plays his cards right and certain events happen. Anyway, with that, let's get on to the next match, which was the Los Angeles Dodrios versus the Sydney Seakings. The Dodrios bringing Celebi, Arcanine, Greninja, Mamoswine, Jolteon, and Kofagrigus, with the Seakings bringing Rotom Wash, Rhyperior, that ever so annoying Keldeo, Uxie, Tentacruel, and the ever so famous Mega Metagross. And this match was sort of a weird kind of way for the Dodrios to play against the Seakings. I believe had things, a few sets been different, the Dodrios would have put on a lot more pressure without Lax basically having to work around certain scenarios in which I believe Swords Dance Baton Pass Celebi came, which was the Dodrios' only real answer to Keldeo. And with the Celebi being dwindled down, trying to go for SDs and Baton Pass, and the, I believe, Tentacruel damaging the Celebi Scarf Tentacruel, which was a good plan on Lax's part to outspeed certain things like Mamoswine, Jolteon, Greninja, Arcanine, etc. and catch them off guard, was a very good plan. But the Celebi running Swords Dance and Baton Pass didn't seem to work out, as the Uxie on the Seakings side had Reflect, and therefore kind of dwindled down the attacks of Greninja, making it more easy to work around than it would have normally been. Uxie going for the U-turn as the Greninja went for the Night Slash kind of sealed the deal that Greninja was not going to do anything. Yeah, it was basically came down to the Dodrios had Mamoswine, I believe, and Arcanine, and no, I think that was it. And the Seakings came in with Keldeo and basically swept up the rest of the game, basically giving Seakings the 3-0 win. Now, had Celebi been a more defensive set to help stop the Keldeo, and Greninja been a special attacking set, this definitely could have been turned on its head. But as for now, the Seakings continue their winning streak on to 5 after losing Game 1 to the New York Klinks. So, on to our next match here. We have the Danbury Dragonairs versus the Boston Silk Scarfs. This was another game with a DC, but it had turned out that the Danbury Dragonairs basically had sealed the deal most of the way into the game. Scarflander's Eye had taken out the Mega Manectric, therefore taking out the Silk Scarf's one good answer to Manaphy. Definitely something you don't want to happen when you have Mega Manectric and the opponent has Manaphy. Manaphy able to set up on Snorlax, Alomomola, Scavalier, Aegislash, things like that. Sunny Day Victini, though, would V-Create, had gotten a kill on the Claydol, as Powder had realized he had to sack something off to that powerhouse that is named Victini. Victini still proving to be a threat. If you guys did not know, the Silk Scarfs were allowed 3 free agents due to being a newly induced team midway through the season and not having a draft that was of their own. With that, the Silk Scarfs had picked up, I believe, Alomomola, Snorlax, and Victini, then using another free agent to pick up a Scavalier and I believe other things of the sort. I'm not too sure right now. I will try to figure that out best I can. But yeah, this was a basically 5-0 victory for the Dragonairs. Victini did cause a problem, but Scarflander's Eye answered that, and after that, it was basically what wants to take a +3 hit from Manaphy, and the answer was nothing. So, after Manaphy had set up the Tail Glow, I believe Alomomola was out trying to stall out the Manaphy. It was not working in True's favor, and the game had DC'd for, I believe, a second time, and True just said, well, you know, it was basically a Manaphy cleanup. Seeing as Alomomola was worn down, Snorlax was worn down, Escavalier would have been at the point where after a +3 Manaphy had set up and gone for a Scald or Surf, etc., Escavalier would have gone down, and Escavalier would have not been able to do too much to the Manaphy. Therefore, the Danbury Dragonairs got a 5-0 win, with Manaphy getting 4 kills. As I mentioned before, the Seattle Smeargles and the New York Klinks had DC'd also, but it would not be a 6-0 win for the Smeargles because the game was so abstractly not sure whose favor it was in at the time to win. Nothing on the Smeargle side, I would say, would have definitely swept up the Klinks team, but nothing on the Klinks side of the team would have swept up the Smeargles, therefore giving the Smeargles a 6-4 win instead of a 6-0, as the Danbury Dragonairs had a DC when it was 5-3, but Manaphy was at the point where it was going to clean up, and both trainers had decided on that, and that it was fair to count it as a 5-0 win for the Danbury Dragonairs. Dragonairs, after going on a 2 losing streak to, I believe, Lax, and who did they lose to last week? They lost to the Dodrios 2-0, and the week before that they had lost to the Seakings 1-0, with a big mistake in that game that you can go watch on Powder's channel as he explains why he basically screwed up. But with that, let's move into the last game of the week, which was actually the last played game of the week, which was the Detroit Steel Wings versus the Portland TurboBlazers. Now, with this match happening so late, I'm not too sure on the details of what happened. I know that Conkeldurr was Bandit and Braviary was Bandit, both being big threats to the other's team. Braviary went for Facade as the Raikou switched in. Raikou, however, was able to live on a good amount of HP around the yellow range, but forcing the Braviary out into the Sandslash. Crimson was basically playing around the core of Slowbro Umbreon with the Conkeldurr as he switched into the Umbreon, went for the knockoff, as Ian did switch into the Slowbro and had to sack off the Slowbro due to basically not anything wanting to switch into that knockoff and lose its item. Now, near the end of the game, the Tornadus was going for a Focus Blast on the Kecleon, which would have killed it, but missed as the Kecleon got off a Sucker Punch before that, and then was able to basically knock out the Tornadus with a Shadow Sneak at the end of the game, after Braviary had come in and basically taken a Sucker Punch and died. So, yeah, with that, the Steel Wings had a 3-0 win. It was definitely a good showing by Ian, but Crimson was always just one step ahead. So with that, let's go into, I believe, the MVP race and see how the games have affected the MVP race this week. So, sitting at number 1 is Keldeo with 6 games played, 4 games won, 10 kills, 2 deaths, and a +8 differential for the Sydney Seakings. In second place, we have Manaphy with 5 games played, 3 games won, 10 kills, 2 deaths, +8 differential for the Danbury Dragonairs. In third place, we have the Mega Metagross with 6 games played, 5 games won, 8 kills, 1 death, +7 differential for the Sydney Seakings. In fourth place, we have Blissey with 4 games played, 4 games won, 7 kills, 1 death, +6 differential for the New York Klinks. In number 5 slot, we have Crocodile with 4 games won, 4 games played, 2 games won, 7 kills, 1 death, +6 differential for the Detroit Steel Wings. In sixth place, we have Mega Sableye with 3 games played, 3 games won, 6 kills, 1 death, +5 differential for the New York Klinks. In 7th place, we have Excelgor with 1 game played, 1 game won, 4 kills, 0 deaths, +4 differential for the New York Klinks. In 8th, we have Dodrio with 2 games played, 2 games won, 4 kills, 1 death, +3 differential for the Sydney Seakings. In 9th, we have Mega Gardevoir with 4 games played, 3 games won, 6 kills, 3 deaths, +3 differential for the Danbury Dragonairs. And in 10th place, we have Landorus Incarnate with 4 games played, 2 games won, 5 kills, 2 deaths, +3 differential for the Danbury Dragonairs again. So, looking at the leaderboard, we definitely see that the 3 top teams are basically leading the leaderboard and showing why their Pokemon are the best, with Sydney having the number 1 Pokemon, Danbury having the number 2, Sydney having the number 3 again, and then sitting in number 4, 6, 7 is the New York Klinks, holding on to that MVP list up there. Yeah, so basically Keldeo and Manaphy are tied for number 1, but because of the thing called the Alphabet and a new kind of thing called Survival, I think I spelled that wrong on here. Survival percent. Keldeo has a larger survival percent than Manaphy, but that does not play into the factor. I just thought it was interesting. The only reason Keldeo is first and Manaphy is second is because of the alphabet, and that is about all. So, let's go into the standings of the week, which is I'm going to start off with the Omega Conference. And in the Omega Conference, we have the Danbury Dragonairs sitting at number 1 still with 4 wins, 2 losses, a 1 win streak, and a differential of 13. Sorry guys. In second, we have the Detroit Steelwings with 3 wins, 3 losses, and a differential of +3. In third, we have the Portland TurboBlazers with 1 win, 5 losses, and -12 differential. In last place in the Omega Conference, we have the Boston Silk Scarfs with 1 win, 5 losses, and a -13 differential. So just sitting below the TurboBlazers are the Silk Scarfs, and the Silk Scarfs Season 1, known as the Brave Birds, had beaten the TurboBlazers, previously known as the Star Raptors, Season 1 6-0, so I'm definitely excited to see them match up if they do. And yeah, so it's going to be exciting to see how this conference comes down. So far it only shows 2 clear leaders and 2 clear kind of falling behinders, and yeah, so in the Alpha Conference we have the Klinks with in the Alpha Conference we have a new leader in the Sydney Seakings with 5 wins, 1 loss, on a 5-win streak with a +13 differential. In second, we have the New York Klinks with 5 wins, 1 loss, and a +11 differential. In third, we have the Los Angeles Dodrios with 3 wins, 3 losses, and a -2 differential. And in last place, we have the Seattle Smeargles with 2 wins, 4 losses, and a -13 differential. This conference has taken so many turns the past few weeks, with the Smeargles picking up, I believe, 2 wins against teams in both divisions, being the Silk Scarfs and the Klinks, and definitely showing that they are not out of the race yet, as they can catch up to the Seakings or the Klinks if enough scenarios go down. As it is, though, the Klinks and the Seakings fighting for that #1 spot, definitely a very close race there as to see who takes what. Dodrios definitely not out of the race yet, though, as they will be giving some tough competition to the Seakings if they continue to play good. As it is, though, 4 top spots being the Dragonairs, the Steelwings, the Klinks, and the Seakings. Definitely an interesting race going on, but soon enough it will be down to the wire, and we will definitely see what goes on there. So, with that, let's get into the next week prediction games, which will be week 7. For the first game, we have the Detroit Steelwings versus the Los Angeles Dodrios. This is going to be a battle of 3-3 teams. Dodrios definitely in what I would consider the harder conference. Steelwings looking to take that lead from the Dragonairs in their conference. And both have very, very solid teams. I think the Steelwings are more defensive while the Dodrios are running more on offense. Dodrios is going to definitely be looking for something to break that wall core of Deoxys, Defense, and Mega Venusaur, whereas the Steelwings are going to look for some offensive momentum where they might not be able to get it with the Dodrios' huge advantage of Volt Turn. So definitely a match I'm looking forward to watching. Whoever loses might just run out of their playoff card, and well, if the Dodrios lose, they might run out of their playoff card and not be able to get ahead, depending on what happens with the Seakings and Klinks this week. Steelwings, though, definitely looking to strengthen their win streak for their conference. So I'm going to put this in favor of, I think, the Steelwings. I don't think the Dodrios would really have too much to handle that defensive core of Deoxys and Venusaur and etc. Steelwings definitely being a very bulky offensive team this season and being very threatening. Sorry, guys. For the second match of the week, we have the Portland TurboBlazers versus the Seattle Smeargles. 2 kind of losing teams, though. The Smeargles have been kicking up their season, and the TurboBlazers have kind of been turning down. And I had some hope for Ian, but I think his playoff contention might be out this week if he does lose. otherwise, yeah, I mean, the Smeargles definitely have a very offensive team, as do the TurboBlazers, but I just feel like the Smeargles have probably a little bit more offense than the TurboBlazers do. Definitely not taking Ian out of the race yet, though, for this match. I feel like it's definitely going to be a punch-for-punch battle and be very, very close. If I have to say, I'll say maybe the Smeargles will pull out a 2-0 or 3-0 win. Definitely not looking for it to be a slaughterhouse, as I know Ian can hold his own in certain scenarios. Now, the third match, which is going to be a marquee match for me, is going to be the Danbury Dragonairs versus the New York Klinks. Now, the Klinks have one of the most defensive teams I have ever seen, with having Suicune, Blissey, Skarmory, Rotom Heat, but you know what can take care of almost all of that is going to be the Manaphy on the Dragonair side. Also, Landorus Eye being a huge special wall breaker, having things like Super Power and Earth Power, and just being an overall menace to the Klinks team. It can really put in a lot of work against the Klinks. The Klinks, though, kind of might lean on having to use more of an offensive team this week, which could hinder their playstyle. As you've seen, their playstyle has been more of a defensive role, and when they play more defensive, they have been winning games. They tried to play a little offensive against the Smeargles, got too caught up with trying to set up certain things, and basically lost the game. I'm gonna have to say, if anything, the Dragonairs are going to beat the Klinks this week and leave the Klinks with a 5-2 record, and Dragonairs will go up to a 5-2 record. It's definitely going to be very close. I do not think it'll be a slaughterhouse. I know the Klinks will come with something for that Manaphy. What it is so far, I'm not sure, but I'm definitely excited to see it. And if anything, I'm going to have to say the Dragonairs are going to basically touch out with a 1 or 2-0 win. Now, the last match of the week is going to be the Boston Silk Scarfs versus the 5-1 Seakings, who have been on a winning streak since week 2, basically. And, yeah, True, not new to the format, but new to this season, not too familiar on the coaches or anything yet. He's still trying to get a grasp of his draft and how to use it properly. I'm definitely going to have to say the Seakings in this one, just because Lax has been playing so great, and True is kind of got thrown in the mid of the season, so it's not too much his fault as it is, you know, us throwing him in there. And I'm going to have to say the Seakings with probably a 3 or 4-0 win, just because Lax has been playing so great. So I know this must have been a shorter weekly recap, guys, only about 20 minutes or so. But that is about it for me and everything else. And yeah, so that's about everything for the weekly recap. I will see you guys in the next video for power rankings, which hopefully I will find someone for. Also, we are looking for analysts, so if you guys are interested in becoming an analyst, let me know down in the comments below or something of the sort. You can always find me on Twitter at SupahGassy, or hit up the PGL Twitter, which is at PGL_Pokémon, and you will be able to apply for an analyst position, and I will definitely work with you on what to do, etc. But that's going to be all for me, folks. I hope you guys enjoy week 7 of the PGL and you keep watching. We're definitely going to have some exciting stuff coming up. And yeah, bye.